I freestyled to my entire classroom and became the most popular kid in the whole school.
You know where I'm at, looking like a boss, like a freaking like a badass rap. Let's go. Yeah.
And the things that happened next changed my life completely. I don't have too many interesting stories, but this one was pretty unique. So I'm a 2000s baby where we had things like silly bands, DS group chats, that one thing called like a VTech or something, that one random game system your mom would just bring home one time, pencil grips, Wonder Pets, math linking cubes, Heelys, Blockbuster, Dragon Tales. The list goes on, but one movie that stuck with me all those years was a Goofy movie. Now stick with me. This movie is what molded what happened inside of that classroom that day, and what heavily influences me every single day I make content. So when I was 10, or going by the US school breakdown, 5th grade, I lived with my grandma, and only 2000 kids and older know what I'm talking about, but there was a TV my grandma had that can play VHS tapes, and if you don't know what that is, it looks like this. She had a VHS tape that was a Goofy movie. Basically, that was the only VHS tape I had in the house for like 4 or 5 months. And spoilers for the people who've never watched it, but there was a part in the movie where basically Max, the main protagonist, Goofy's son, performed at an assembly for this girl named Roxanne. Basically, he was just singing and breakdancing in front of the girl he liked, and I don't know, as a kid, that like really stuck with me. Not the whole rizzing up the girl thing, but more of the performance and everything that built up to it and the reactions of everyone in the crowd. I just thought that was like insane. Anyways, fast forward a couple years, around the time I'm 12 or 13, which is 7th grade for the US school system, AKA middle school. And I've always been that kid to do too much, like have way too much energy in situations where you're really just supposed to be chilling out. Like I had terrible social cues, and I always wanted to make people happy and do extra, like a class clown. And from this point on, I kind of finally figure out I can freestyle, but it doesn't happen until the school bus incident. Now this happened on like the 6th day of school. You know, everyone is still fresh new to each other. Everyone's starting to warm up. And there was this kid on the bus, let's call him Jay. Now Jay, he was more known for being a class clown more than me. He was over the top 24/7 and just doing way more than I could. There was a day where he started beating on the window of the school bus as a joke, and he kept going until he made like a cool little, you know, that boom, boom, boom. The basic beat everyone makes when they're making a beat on like a table or something. Anyways, with me being just as much as a class clown as him, I leaned over on the aisle of the school bus and I just started yelling out random like ad-libs, like yo, hey, yo, hey, to the beat basically. And then everyone just started like making the same beat on each school. I ain't gonna lie, it was like a High School Musical moment. That crap was, it had its moments. And of course you had the kids on the side that were like low-key quiet and like embarrassed, and then the people all the way in the back, you already know, let's be honest, it's always the black guys or like the ghetto kids or the loud kids in the back. I was definitely back there with the loud ones, okay? I'm not gonna lie, but I wasn't arrogant or ignorant for everyone else around me, but I was definitely a ball of energy. Anyways, from that point on, it kind of reminded me of the movie I watched, I told you about, a Goofy movie, where everything was just lit, everyone was hyped, because mind you, I had no concept of a concert back then. I didn't know what that was. I'd never been to one, so Goofy movie was the only thing I could refer to when it came to like moments like these. So I instantly got up. Well, I didn't stand up, but I leaned into the bus and I just started freestyling. And it was completely like random, but I guess it made sense. It was like rhyming, but it didn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Just talking while rhyming. And to remind you, this is middle school. This isn't even the high school freestyle I did. So it was nothing compared to the one I ended up doing in high school. But coming back to reality, after I freestyled, everything seemed like it just kind of froze. I looked around, all the quiet kids that are usually on the side and embarrassed were eyes wide open looking at me. The kids in the back that were super loud looking at me in silence. All the kids in the front that usually don't look at the back because they don't care about it were looking at me. It was like everything stopped. And you remember that super energetic kid named Jay? Well, he stopped completely and told me, he said, yo, bro, did you write that? I was like, oh, no, I was just off the top. I was just rapping about everything I saw, because in the freestyle, I was talking about people's shirt color, their hair color, what time it is, what time we're going to school, the bus driver, everything. And he was like, yo, that was genuinely good and like actually good. I thought you were trolling. I was like, bro, I was trolling. I don't even know. And the guy was like, yeah, bro, you got to take that. Do you have music? I'm like, nah, that was kind of the first time I actually freestyled in front of other people as a joke. And he was just not letting it go. He was like, no, bro, you got to start music. You got to do that. And even the bus driver got to a complete stopping point and asked who was rapping or who was making the beat. And we all expected it to kind of be like a we're in trouble thing. But she was like, don't do that again. But whoever was rapping sounded very good. And I just sat there in silence like, holy crap, okay, maybe I should try something. So at the end of that whole school year, I created my first SoundCloud. Now, I am not putting y'all on to the first ever music I created because it was on BandLab, but I used that whole summer to just kind of freestyle. Me and my cousin used to be inside of like the stair area inside of the apartments and just rap, just freestyle all the time, as a joke. And I actually have a couple videos of it. I might show it.
This is like one of the best videos, so we'll be back probably, or we'll not be back. So yeah, peace.
And this is also around the time I created my first ever YouTube channel, which is actually not this one. My first ever YouTube channel is actually called Aqua XP now, which is kind of just an extra channel for me now. But that channel is where I started kind of testing video styles, becoming a creator, a rapper, and all the little stuff. So back to the main story. A couple years later, I would say I'm about 14, 15, which is 9th grade for high schoolers in America. And at this point, I no longer live with my grandma.
Oh, look behind us.
Why are we not going that way, Grandma?
Because they got it blocked.
I'm actually with my mother, and we moved to a very upclass part of California. Now, I don't want to dox myself or nothing, but this school was very known for having celebrities who used to go to this school. Like, everyone there was pretty much had money or came from money. The year before I got there, they told us that they had an assembly with Blueface, and this guy named Girls Love Dev, Heem Breezy, Blueface have all went to this school before blowing up. So that was obviously one of the biggest things that caught my eye. So after being there for about a year, I was a very, very quiet kid now. From the middle school me who had hella friends I grew up with, coming to a completely new city, I became such an extroverted introvert, which I would basically only show myself to people who I felt a little bit more comfortable with than just randoms would.
Freckles, get back here. Say hi to you too. Oh, I know.
In the past, I would kind of just be myself no matter who was around me. But there was a situation that broke me out of this introverted vibe. See, at the end of freshman year, I was one of the top students in basically almost every class. With having no friends and no social life, all I did was focus on school. And yeah, I still did YouTube and everything on the side, but it wasn't to the point where I needed to make money. It was more of just an hobby. At the last day of school, they gave us these papers where you can pick summer school electives. And at the time, I thought that was very interesting. And there was an elective called video creation. And the owner of this elective, let's call him Ronaldo. Now, Mr. Ronaldo is actually fired from this school now because of like food and stuff requirements, but this guy had a classroom under the library. And it was so different. It was nothing like your normal classroom. We would go into his classroom and he would have a whole bunch of computers, like a computer lab. And he would have this huge refrigerator. And this refrigerator had like coffee to Starbucks to even burgers and sodas. Like, he was a lit teacher. Now, as summer came around and his class started, I realized that being in this classroom would actually open me to a lot of new opportunities. And one of the biggest opportunities that I realized is we controlled the bulletin of each school. So I don't know if you guys had bulletins in your school, but basically early in the morning, there's usually a video or something over on the overhead of the announcement telling you what you're gonna do today and saying go and then your mascot. So like, go Cougars, go Rats, go whatever. And there was a section on this bulletin where we would interview random people inside of the school and basically have it as like a little entertainment section of each bulletin. Now, if you guys are following me so far, you can kind of see where I'm about to go with this. So school rolls back around and I was in that class all summer. And I chose to keep the elective even when school starts. And the very first project that we had to do when we entered this class, first day of school, was find people to interview for the school's bulletin. Now, lo and behold, that was something I didn't really mind doing. But then it got to a point where the class wanted to interview me. See, there was this girl in the class. Let's call her Brittany. Now, me and Brittany met each other in summer when we first started the elective. And we talked a lot. I told her about my music and my YouTube, and she's seen it all. This is around when I had like 3,000 subscribers, which I'm just gonna speed this up. By the time I graduated, I was at around 200,000 on YouTube and blowing up from like the whole Aiden Ross thing. And that's a whole different story for another time. Anyways, with this knowledge, she decided to tell Mr. Ronaldo, the teacher for the elective, that I should be interviewed because I do content. Now, at the time, as being kind of introverted, extroverted, I thought the idea was amazing until I sat down in the seat to record it. And I didn't really think about what Brittany told to Ronaldo or the details, but all I know is once everyone got ready to start recording my interview, I heard someone mumbling in the background, "You should make them freestyle." I instantly knew exactly where this was going. Now, believe it or not, this is not the biggest freestyle I did in the school. Actually, it happens next year. But coming back to this story, as the video started rolling, they just started asking me, what is my name? What do I do? And at the end of the whole interview, the interviewer kid, let's call him Jason, Jason brought up an apple and a bag of crackers, and he said freestyle. And that was the first time ever I was put on the spot to just rap about something that would be shown to the whole entire school. So let's just cut to the chase. At the end of the whole interview, I freestyled about this apple and this bag of crackers. And while I was rapping, the same effect that happened in middle school when I rapped on the school bus was happening right then and there. The whole classroom went silent. The beat that they played on this little random JBL speaker was just loud enough for everyone to hear it. And even the teacher Ronaldo looked back at me. And the girl Brittany was just sitting there with a smile, clapping her hands, and I'm just sitting here nervous as hell while it's happening. And while I stopped, the cameras turned off, everything was silent, and Jason was like, yo, you're gonna be big. A day passes and the video is being uploaded to the school's bulletin, and I can tell you in perfect condition that I was in history class, first period of the next day, and the bulletin goes on. And I'm just sitting here nervous. So sometimes the bulletin is delayed a few days, or sometimes it's the next day. So I really didn't know when I was going to see myself in front of everybody. And I don't know if they kept in a freestyle or not. So anyways, the teacher interview goes past, the football bulletin goes past, bulletin. I remember about 5 minutes in, I hear my voice. I instantly put my head on the desk and I cover my ears, and I'm like, oh my God, they kept it. The crackers and apple freestyle was playing in my history class, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, please no. Mind you, I have no friends, so there's no one I can look at, smile, laugh about it with, nothing. I'm just here. And I look up after I finish, everybody in the class talking under their breath. The teacher's looking at me, yo, my government, was that you? Bro, I can't even talk. Anyways, that period goes past, and I see this guy, let's call him Jackson. Now, Jackson, I didn't know him too well, but I've seen him around the school a couple times. And basically, the conversation stemmed off the bulletin. He was like, yo, that was a good freestyle. I was like, appreciate it. Just trying to change the conversation because I was so embarrassed. And basically, this was the first friend I made in high school ever. And I actually ate with somebody for the first time ever in high school. It was a whole thing. And I met this guy that you guys probably low-key know. And before I say his name, me and Jackson went to the table after getting lunch or whatever, talking about like, I guess it was a new game at the time, His friend looked at me, and Jackson introduced me to his homie. He was like, yo, this is my boy Aqua. I'm just gonna say Aqua so I don't have to say my government. This is my boy Aqua. And he was like, oh, fire. Now, mind you, the Aiden Ross thing already happened. So me rapping to Aiden Ross, mind you, I said this is a whole different story for another time, but basically, to dumb it down, I freestyled for Aiden Ross. It went really viral. Everyone started following me on all platforms, and I became more noticeable in public. And before this, I've never been noticed in public unless it was like my little brother's friends that my brother put my YouTube onto. So the guy I actually ended up meeting was this guy named Doozy. Now, Doozy has been in a lot of my videos, and I mean a lot. We became close after this whole interaction. But basically, after he introduced me to Doozy, Doozy was like, wait, I've seen you before. And I'm like, yeah, I make YouTube videos. He was like, no, I see you on a stream. And then that was the first time I've ever been noticed by my face and not my content ever, by my closest homie, Doozy. Now, Doozy, I can say, was one of my first ever musical friends that we kind of related on like a musical standpoint. He made music, I made music. I wasn't that good, he wasn't that great, and we kind of just built up together. But going back to the main storyline, about a year passes and I'm in sophomore now, 10th grade. I'm 15 or 16, and this is a few months before COVID hit, and we're literally out for like a whole year due to COVID. But before that, all of 10th grade, aka sophomore year, was complete. This is kind of where the story starts. Now, do you remember ages ago I told you guys about a Goofy movie and the whole situation where he made the girl Roxanne like him and he was performing? Now we're gonna start this in the morning. So at this point, I'm already super popular because I'm rapping on games like Call of Duty and stuff on TikTok, but not a lot of people know about that. So I had this crazy idea where I would make a story time video about how I freestyled to my classroom. But there was one thing, I haven't done it yet. So I created a TikTok where basically I put on my shoes, I put on my jacket, you know, the whole like influencer thing when you record yourself doing stuff before you go do something. I did all that and I got hyped up. I looked in the mirror, I recorded myself in the mirror, and I said, today is the day I freestyle to my class. Now, a lot of you are probably asking, why did you just hop up and decide to want to freestyle today? Now, my Spanish class every Friday had this thing called Fun Friday because they were the last period of the day. And basically, you can either bring in a pet, show some clothing, do a talent. That day was the talent day. So I decided, why not? Let me try it. So I get to school, period 1 history. Head is knocking. I'm like excited. Period 2, PE. I go out, I'm sweaty as hell. I fresh up, I come back, period 3, math. You know, I hate that subject, but I had to lock in. And then it's lunch. At this point, I don't really have too many friends. The only friend I really had was Doozy and Jackson, which they really went off and did their own thing, but I was just really headset mind on, please don't let this be a flop. And a lot of people still remember the bulletin from a year ago. A lot of people don't. A lot of people moved. None of that mattered to me. All that mattered was 2 more periods, and I got Spanish. 5th period hits, goes in a flash. Finally, 6th period is here. Spanish class. Now, I want y'all to realize, out of all these stories I've been telling you, there's never been a time where I went into the intention of freestyling and getting a reaction. Everything that's happened up to this point was simultaneous. Literally, the bulletin was happening. They wanted me to freestyle. I rapped. Boom. The school bus, they were making a beat. I heard it, I rapped. Boom. Reaction, reaction, surprise reaction. This is the first time I'm going in with them knowing I'm going to freestyle and seeing if I can get that surprise reaction with them knowing it's about to happen. Do you get what I'm saying? So now it's go time. I walk in the classroom. Jackson's there. And you remember the girl Brittany from my one bulletin classroom? She's there. Basically, a lot of the people who see me do it just on the spot were there. So it was no longer just a surprise factor. It's more of a, can I live up to what I've been building up? And a few people saw my YouTube by now, and my YouTube is around 10K now. It was at 3K the year before. Now it's at 10K, so a little bit more people at school heard about it. Anyways, at this point, it's go time. The first girl went, she had a guinea pig. Another guy went, he was doing a handstand. Another 2 girls went and they were trying to, I think they were trying to show off their drawings or something on the whiteboard. And then finally, the teacher picked me. Now this teacher, her name was Miss, let's call her Hernandez, for like legal purposes and to keep her safe. But anyways, Miss Hernandez picked me. She was like, yo, Aqua, you want to come up here and do your talent? Whatever it is. So mind you, the only people who really know what I do is Jackson and Brittany. And they only heard, you know, enough to know I can do it. Everyone in the class didn't really know who I was. The teacher didn't know what I was about to do. I was like, yeah. So I went to my backpack and I pulled out a speaker, a JBL speaker, and she thought it was an Arizona can because it kind of did look like an Arizona can, but no, it was a speaker. I told Brittany and Jackson to turn off the lights, and before I knew it, I started playing the beat. And I told the teacher to give me like 4 random words. I will not remember what the words were. I don't even know what I said in the freestyle. All I know was when I started rapping, the shock value and everything I used to get over and over completely went away. And I just saw straight up flashes just in my face. I'm talking everyone in the classroom turned from a Spanish classroom to a full-on concert mid like freestyle. And I remember being really nervous that I didn't want to look up, but the second I did, it was nothing but iPhone flashes in my face. For the first time, like while rapping, I had like a whole full circle flashback moment of the Roxanne and Max movie, where I was just like, yo, I'm doing it. Like, I'm actually rapping to my classroom right now. Now, I just want to say the freestyle was not the best. Like, I was still very young. It was good enough for me to realize that whatever I put my mind to, I can genuinely lock in and do it. And honestly, any of y'all can. But I just remember after the freestyle, Brittany looked at me in awe. Jackson was in shock. But then I just started hearing every girl in the classroom just, oh my gosh, that was so good. Like everybody. Even the guys were like, yo, he is cold. And I remember leaving that classroom with about like 2 girls' numbers and 5 more by the time I left the class. And I don't know if they were just flirting or they really liked me or liked the freestyle. But all I remember was when I got home with all these numbers, I couldn't even type it in because I had an Android and I had no service. So I kind of just pocketed them and just kept it pushing. And that was pretty much it. For the rest of the school year, everything went pretty much well. I kind of slowly went back to eating by myself, but I created a confidence for myself that I can genuinely do anything. And for the people who don't believe any of this happened, I have video footage of me rapping to my class. I'm gonna play it right here. And if you want to actually watch the video, just scroll all the way down to one of my first videos. You will find it. Oh yeah. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow when we drop another vid. I love y'all. Peace out.